Hey guys, Smith here with Minute Maintenance. I'm here looking at my new, to me, 2013 F-150 Lariat. Now whenever I purchase a vehicle, whether it's going to be new or whether it's going to be used, there are a couple things that I like to do to the vehicle to make sure that it's going to be reliable for me in the short term and the long run. And hopefully this video is going to help you guys do a few things to your cars to make sure it lasts a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and get under the hood and let's get started. Alright guys, what we have here with us today in this 2013 Ford F-150 Lariat. Now this is again my personal vehicle, and this is a few things I'm going to go over of what I like to do to make sure the vehicle is a little more reliable, gets a little bit better gas mileage, and gets me the performance I want. Now under this particular one, we have a 6.2 liter V8 motor. Now this was an optional motor for the F-150, but again this is going to transfer to any vehicle that you guys own. When you buy a vehicle used, when you buy a vehicle new, you didn't build it, you didn't drive it, you don't know exactly what the last owner has done to it, and so what you want to do is change a few things. What I like to do first and foremost is I like to change all the spark plugs. Now because this is a 6.2 liter, there's 16 spark plugs. So what we have up top here is we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 spark plugs at the top, and if you follow these wires down underneath the valve cover there where the wires connect, 1, 2, 3, 4 more spark plugs, and identical thing on the other side. So again, whenever I purchase a vehicle that's used, I like to change the spark plugs right away. There's a few other things I like to do, and we'll go over that in some other videos, but today let's get these spark plugs taken care of. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me go over the list of things that I have, the simple hand tools that I have on hand that we're going to use to get this job done. So what we have right here is we have 2 different size socket wrenches. We have a 5.5mm socket, which we'll use to remove the inner fender wheel cover to get to the lower 8 spark plugs, both on the passenger and the driver's side. We have the 8mm socket, a 10mm socket, and a 5/8, and that's actually for the spark plugs themselves. And I also have 2 different size extensions because you never really know when it comes to the accessories and different angles on the engine exactly how easy it's going to be to get to some of these. So it's always a good idea, guys, just to have a couple different extensions on hand. Gives you some more options. So first things first, we're going to remove this upper level breather box. This is connected directly to the throttle body, and it comes all the way over here and connects to your air filter. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen up this band here. And then we're gonna, with this is gonna be 8mm. Then we need a 10mm bolt here and a 10mm bolt down underneath here, which is why we gotta loosen this one up to get it out of the way. So we did a 10mm bolt, and after that there'll be one more bolt right back here that we need to get to on that band right here, just to make things a little bit easier for ourselves. And that's gonna be another 8mm as well. And then this whole box here is going to come right up, and we'll have direct access to all our spark plugs on both sides. So let's go ahead and get that started. Alright, we got our 8mm socket here, and it's set for lefty loosey because we want to loosen things up right now. I know that's a little juvenile, but it always helps me remember. So we're lefty loosey. We're going to put this cat on here right now, and there we go. Get her nice and loosened up. Don't need to go too far, just enough we can wiggle her right on off there. Perfect. We're going to push it off to the side, which is out of the way. Now we'll switch to 10mm, and we'll get bolt number 1 and bolt number 2. And again, lefty loosey. Alright. Alright guys, here we are on the back side. Hopefully you can go ahead and see this. And again, we're just going to loosen that one up just to make things a little bit easier on ourselves. Oh, let's slip over here, and we got these 2 hoses here, there, and this hose right here, which just has a simple tab release right there at the top. See me pointing at that little tab release? Go ahead and push that down. She slides right off, and then bada bing, bada boom. We're going to set that off to the side. It has these clamps here. Now we have full access to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll remove the inner fender wheel covers, which isn't the most difficult thing in the world, guys. Just need that 5.5mm socket. We'll get those pulled out and get the bottom 8, but let's go ahead and take care of these top ones. Alright guys, now that we got the breather box out of the way, we have access to, again, the top 8 spark plugs, and those are the only ones we're going to change because we're in a pinch. I completely understand, but again, we have 8 more underneath the valve covers, and we'll get to those at the end. But right now, let's go ahead and get our 8mm socket that we have been using to loosen up those hoses, and we're going to remove the coil packs. Alright guys, real life just came and hit us right hard in the face, and sometimes it'll do that. So we took our 8mm socket and went ahead and went all the way through. And once we got to the back here, I realized my 8mm socket, the bolt that was holding in this coil pack, well, it was a little bit stiff, it was a little bit rusty. Those things will happen. This is 2013. That takes place, so I went ahead and grabbed a 8mm crescent wrench, which was the right move, to put it on top to give me a little bit more secure coverage, a little bit more secure holding, and it went ahead and it snapped my bolt while it was still in the carrier. And so now my coil pack is stuck back there. But that's alright, we're going to get this figured out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the coil pack connector here, the wiring harness, and get the spark plug wire off so that I'm not going to damage any of those materials. I don't want to damage any of those. And so just so you get a little bit angle view of what's going on here, so the way you remove those is this red tab here has to be pulled out. Now, if they're newer, it's easy to pull them out with your thumb like that. Sometimes I take a screwdriver, or I'm just going to use the other end of my crescent wrench here and just real gentle, just go ahead and put it on the back side of that red tab and just give her a little pull so that she opens up for you. There we go. So now she opened up, now you push right down here in the middle on this black part right there. Give her a nice little push. You hear that? Good to go. Give her a nice little push, and then she comes right off. Alright guys, let's go ahead and take a look at this on the driver's side of the engine bay. On the very back, you can see the issue that I ran into, that little nub sticking up, that little brown nub. That is what is left of my coil pack retaining bolt. She went ahead and she snapped right off. She was so rusty. That guy right there. So there's a couple different ways you can get that removed. You can try to apply a torch to it just to heat up the area. The general area around there is going to be plastic. There is a bit of a metal insert. So what you would do is you would take a torch and you would just lightly heat up the area around that. And you would grab it with the vice grips, needle nose vice grips, to really lock down on the top of that. So when everything's nice and melty, you can pull that out along with the metal nut, which looks like, I'll come back to this one, which looks like that. So if we're on the back coil pack back there, you'd heat up this area just very gently. You're not trying to deform everything too much, just trying to make it malleable. And then you would lock on to that broken nub with some sort of vice grips. Needle nose vice grips would be best, just considering the space you have to work with back there. Lock on real tight, and you would pull the whole insert out. Then you could work on it back at your bench to save the insert if you have to. Otherwise, you can find a new one. And guess what? You do the same thing again. Heat the area up. Then you'd set the new insert, hopefully along with the stud in there. Try not to touch it with hand, because this is, the middle part is going to be metal, so you're going to burn yourself, and allow the area to reform around it. Now, this is my personal vehicle, and the coil packs in themselves, they're very secure. I will probably find a way to just zip tie my coil pack back there, because it's fuel rail back here. This doesn't get overly hot, and I have some decent size zip ties that shouldn't have any issues with the heat. So I'll probably just end up doing that, because sometimes in life you just got to go with what's good enough. This isn't a customer's vehicle. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect to hold this in place. Again, this bolt is just to hold this coil pack against it, so I can accomplish the same task with some zip ties. So let's go ahead and get the spark plugs pulled out and go from there. Are you kidding me? I'll just show you what come in close here, show you what I did. Again, there is a proper way to remove that nub, which I talked about earlier. You'd want to heat up the plastic valve cover, the plastic intake, to allow that metal insert that holds the bolt carrier to be removed. Then you want to heat it back up after you remove the bolt, extract the bolt from basically what is a nut. Heat it back up, not to deform it, just to make it malleable, and hold it in place until everything reforms. I don't have time for that, so we're going to do a good enough job. What I did was I took a zip tie, wrapped it around the fuel rail here, and came up in between my two electrical connectors to make sure I wasn't going to have any interference here. And look at that. That's just as secure as that one, and she's not going anywhere. And I can always add a second zip tie if I had any concerns. If you have any concerns that there might be some slippage, you can add a second zip tie. That's something you feel is needed. I don't feel it's needed for my particular purposes here. So we'll go ahead and get it finished up. Alright guys, we got those top ones all put in place, all 8 of them at the top. Now it's time to remove the inner fender wheel well cover. And we'll start by, you see these plastic connection points right here, electrical connectors, just holding those in place. You can go get your hand back behind there and try to work those out if you can. Just push all those back in once we're done. And then we're going to come over here, and as you can see, we have a bolt right here, holding it in place. And we have another one right over here, holding the wheel well cover in place. Yours might have more along the outside. Just go ahead and take a peek at those. All I'm going to do is take my 5.5mm wrench here and we'll get those off there. And then one pressure clip down here. Nice little sturdy tug there. Alright, now that's out of the way, we'll go ahead and pull our spark plug wires here, because we're going to go ahead and we're going to change those out as well. There we go. And just like before, 5/8. Let's go ahead and get these plugs off. Guys, just like before, now we're on the driver's side. We got to pull out this inner fender wheel cover here, and we need a 5.5mm socket, and we're going to go lefty-loosey on bolt 1, bolt 2, back here, bolt 3 on this side, and one pressure clip right here. And there you go, guys. And there it was. In under 2 hours, we changed all 16 spark plugs on this 2013 Ford F-150 Lariat. Now, the process is fairly universal for any vehicle when it comes to changing spark plugs. You remove the coil pack, you remove the lead wires, you pull the spark plug, drop in the new ones. If you have any questions or comments about the process I took to remove these, if you have a better way to do it, feel free to reach out and let me know. I'm always looking to learn. If you have any questions or comments about your specific vehicle, any maintenance issues you're having, feel free to reach out. We'll try to get those answered. And I hope this inspired you guys to take a minute out of your day to do some maintenance.